Hey guys, welcome to another video. Arleesha here. Today I want to tell you about my 3 favorite watercolor brands. I haven't tried every watercolor brand out there, but I have tried a few and I definitely have some that stand out to me as being the most enjoyable to use and the ones that kind of seem to work best for the way I like to paint and the kinds of things I like to paint. Before we get into it, I want to show you a quick list of all of the brands that I've tried before in the past. I actually don't have all of these paints anymore, as I discovered that some paints weren't really right for me. I either gave them away to friends or sold them or things like that, so I don't have all of them still that are listed on this list, but I did give them all a fair try before I pushed them along to somebody else who might be able to use them better. Starting with my number 3 slot, I have the Taki Gansai Tambi watercolors. Now, I made a review for these paints on this channel, so I'll link that if you'd like to check it out. But I really enjoy these paints. They are definitely different from like a more Western style watercolor like Schmincke or Winsor & Newton, things like that, or even Daniel Smith. But I really enjoy the ways that these are different actually. They're pretty unique. They come in these larger, flatter pans that are actually intended to be the size that they are. They're not as deep as a full pan, but they are wider and they are longer, if that makes sense. They have color information on them. I usually go by the number because a lot of the information is in Japanese. The one thing that I really like about this pan size is that I can lay any size of calligraphy brush that I have flat in the pan, which I can't really do in like a smaller half pan because it would kind of crunch up the bristles. So this one allows me to use my calligraphy brushes a little bit more effectively. These are definitely more on the opaque side as far as watercolors go, but I really enjoy, especially in this 36 color set, the range of colors that are available. I find them to be really fun to work with. And as far as these paints go, I have used them to create paintings like these. I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't done, dozens of paintings with most of the paints that are going to be on this list today, with the exception of the paints in my number 1 slot. But overall, these watercolors are just fun to use. They provide a different sort of challenge as they don't layer as well as more staining, more transparent watercolors, but the color range is so enjoyable that they're a lot of fun to work with, and I really enjoy them. The number 2 watercolors in a slot are part of this little custom palette that I made recently. And there are a bunch of different brands in here, but the ones that we're talking about this time are the Emgrand Watercolors. My finger was like really twitchy here. It was okay, anyway. Emgrand are in my number 2 slot. They come in these large 15 milliliter tubes, which I really like. The ones that I've gotten from like their 5 tube sets that you can see on Amazon. I have a review of these paints on my channel as well, so I'll link that if you want to check it out. And on the back of these tubes, we can see the pigments that were used and light fastness ratings and all of those things that you would expect to see from a professional brand of watercolors. These paints reactivate so easily. Like, I didn't put any water on these ahead of time. What you're seeing here is just that's how quickly my brush was filled with tons and tons of pigment. So that's pretty cool and pretty exciting. You're going to be able to notice right away that the color payout, like the load of color and the excess amount of I shouldn't say excess, and the amount of pigment that you get even from that quick little dip I did into that well, it's pretty intense. It's a lot of color, and that's one of my favorite things about these paints is that the saturation and the vibrancy of the colors is fantastic. They're beautiful, bright, smooth colors, and I enjoy working with them very much. One color that I have been using a bit more lately is this turquoise. I used it in my snakes painting, which is another thing that I'll leave a link to that you can check out. I use the turquoise a lot for the background of that painting. Okay, check this out. This paint in particular has been out of its tube for months probably, and it's never going to dry. It has a lot to do with the honey that's used in the paints, but even, Sennelier paints claim to use honey, also a lot of honey, but those paints have dried up. I have some Sennelier paints in this same palette, and they are much, much, much drier. So the composition is just different enough that these Emgrand paints, they just stay sticky. Now, I'm not really worried about, if I tip this thing over that they're going to come pouring out of there, but they're definitely just super juicy. Okay, we're on to number 1, and I keep my number 1 paints in this palette by themselves. And can you guess? Do you know what these are? I think I've talked about this palette a little bit. Let's stick around in here and see if I can find some tubes to show you. I want to do like a drum roll, but I don't want to make all the noise. Okay, my number 1 most favorite brand of watercolors currently is Daniel Smith. Now, Daniel Smith paints are definitely the most expensive paints on my list. They come in a couple different forms. I have 5ml tubes and 15ml tubes here, and as you can see, the palette that I'm using isn't even full yet. I do love this essential set that they have, these 6 5ml tubes. They're fantastic and a great place to start, and if you can shell out, $25 to $30, it's a great place to start with a brand. The colors are beautiful and vibrant. So as I was saying, I haven't filled the palette that I use for my Daniel Smith colors just because the paints range between $10 and $20 per tube, and this is a 33 well palette, so I haven't yet been able to put 33 different colors in here. But I just wanted to show you some of my favorite colors here. From right to left, I think there's Moon Glow, and then Cascade Green, Transparent Brown Oxide, and this is Quinacridone Gold, and the last one here is Lamp Black. Now, I added a little bit more water so you can't see it as much in the lamp black, but that color is a beautiful opaque black. It's the only black that I really, really enjoy using, and that was Potter's Pink on the end there. As with all watercolors, the dispersion of the colors really varies a lot, but one thing I really like about Daniel Smith watercolors is their unmatched granulation. For whatever reason, the paints didn't show their beautiful granulating properties as much on this paper that I was using, but the Potter's Pink is the one that granulated the most as it was drying. One thing I really like is the way that these paints are formulated. The granulation that occurs, the colors granulate and separate into beautiful different colors. So here I'm showing you an example of a piece I did recently with my Daniel Smith watercolors. The granulating colors that I used primarily for the background were Potter's Pink, Moon Glow, and Shadow Violet. And this is actually on hot press paper, and I love that granulating effect. And here are some other pieces I have used to do things with my Daniel Smith paints. I think I've probably done the most with them. So that's my impromptu, kind of unorganized, not super official or fancy top 3 favorite watercolor brands. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm planning a series of watercolor portraits where I do one portrait with each brand of watercolor that I still own to give a better idea of what I really like best and give each one sort of a fair try. And thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. We'll talk about more favorite things sometime soon. Alright guys, have a great day and a week, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye!